Hi, welcome to my channel and thank you to my subscribers. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. In this video, we are going to see how to integrate a AWS Cognito user pool with Facebook login. So AWS Cognito user pool supports multiple social identity providers like Facebook, Google, Apple, and even login with Amazon. So you can look at the documentation here in the developer guide. So it supports multiple social identity providers and it has built-in support to integrate with these social identity providers. So we just need to do some configuration in the Cognito user pool as well as in the social identity provider to make sure this integration works fine. But before getting into the configuration steps, I will explain the end-to-end flow on how a Facebook user can log into a client application that is integrated with Amazon Cognito. So when the user tries to access the client application in the browser, the client application will make a authorization code grant request to Amazon Cognito and display the login page of Amazon Cognito. And in the login page, you will have a button called Continue with Facebook. And when you click that button, the Cognito user pool will redirect the user to the Facebook login page. And once the user enters the Facebook credentials, which is in the step 4, and if the credentials are valid, Facebook will redirect back to Amazon Cognito, which is in the step 8. So it will basically redirect to Amazon Cognito. Sorry, it's in step 7 with the authorization code. And Amazon Cognito will then call Facebook token endpoint using that authorization code to get an access token. And using that access token, Amazon Cognito will call a graph API that ends with /me, and by passing the access token of that user it can get the user details. And once it gets the user details, Cognito will create a local user profile for that particular Facebook user if it is the very first time that the user is trying to log in, and if it is subsequent attempts, then it will update the user profile if there are any changes to the user attributes. And once that is done, Cognito will return an authorization code back to the client application, that is again a browser redirect, and client application will use that authorization code to get ID token, access token, and refresh token from Cognito. And after validating these tokens, the client application can either allow or deny access to that user depending on the various claims in the ID token, access token. And so finally, if everything is successful and if the authorization is also successful, the user will be able to access that client app. So this is the end-to-end flow, and the key uh, points to note here is basically the interaction between Amazon Cognito user pool and Facebook. So that's where all the magic happens. And the good thing is, as I mentioned earlier, Cognito already supports Facebook login. So you don't have to do any custom coding or something. You just need to do the right configuration, and then Cognito user pool will take care of the remaining things. So in order to do this end-to-end configuration, we need a Cognito user pool, which I will be creating now in few minutes. And then you need a developer account in your Facebook. So basically like go to developers.facebook.com, then enter your login using your Facebook credentials. I already did that. And then it will ask to verify your phone number, all those things. And once you are done with that, you will see this kind of a home page for developers.facebook.com. And here you can see different links like the documentation, the my apps link, all those things. So we will get into these configuration steps at a later point of time, but make sure you have an account in developers.facebook.com. Basically you can use your Facebook account to log into this developers account, and then after few verification steps you will see this page. And I'm going to use Chrome for all the configuration and Firefox for testing this flow. So let's first go ahead and create a basic user pool. When I say basic user pool, a standard user pool with the bare minimum configurations. So I'm not going to get into each and every configuration details that are available. I will just quickly show you how to create a user pool with whatever is required for this particular POC, proof of concept. So when you go to the create user pool in the very first page, you can select username, click next, leave all these things, and you can disable MFA. We don't need that. You can disable this option because we don't need that. As I said, you can explore all these options later. You can disable this one and this one. Leave this attributes as is for now. Go to next step. Just select this one to get to the next step. Enter a user pool name. I am just going to name it as cup FB1 and make sure you select this option, use Cognito hosted UI, because without this option there is no way you can integrate Facebook login with your Cognito user pool. So don't forget to select this option. And let's select a Cognito domain. It can be any random name. I'm going to try the same name that I gave above, and that worked. So you can give any random name, whatever is whatever already whatever is not taken. Like basically I already used this one, cup FB1, so you cannot use this, so you can give some other name. And here I'm going to create IFP client, and let's generate a client secret. And for the callback URL, we will update this at a later point of time, but as of now just give some dummy URL like example.com, and we can replace it later. Go to the advanced client settings and make sure you have Cognito user pool. Yeah, these things are fine. Authorization code grant, this is fine. And here instead of OpenID phone email, let's select OpenID profile email and go to the next step. Review all the details one more time and create the user pool. So we are done with the user pool creation here. And if you go to that user pool, you can navigate to different tabs and view all the configurations that you did. But the main configuration details are available in the user pool properties tab and in the app integration tab, where you can see the custom domain, not the custom domain, the domain name that you gave when you created the user pool. You can see the client name that you gave when you created the user pool. So you can check all these details here. We will again come back to this screen because we need to add the Facebook identity provider. We will do that at a later point of time. For now, let's go back to the developers.facebook.com and select my apps. So I already have one app. You can ignore that. We will go ahead and create a totally new application. So this particular application that we are trying to create actually represents the Cognito, because when a user tries to log in, we get redirected to Cognito user pool login page. From there, we get redirected to Facebook login page. So Cognito will be the client for this Facebook login. So the app that we are going to create actually represents that Cognito user pool. So go to create app and select other option. Go to next page and select consumer and go to next page and add an app name. I'm going to name it as Cognito client and create app. It will ask for password. So sometimes it asks, sometimes it doesn't ask. But if it asks for the password, just enter the password and it will create a new app for you. So now that we have created a new app that represents the Cognito user pool client, what we need in this app is basically Facebook login. So click setup and that will enable Facebook login for this client application. So now you have actually enabled the Facebook login for this client application. Go to settings on the left navigation bar. So please uh, check this navigation bar. initially when you navigated to this client app, you would have not seen this Facebook login, but once I click that Facebook login setup button, it automatically opens up this Facebook login navigation. So go to the settings tab, and here you can see that client OAuth login, web OAuth login, everything is all already enabled. So the only thing that we need to do is add a OAuth redirect URI. So what this redirect URI is basically the Cognito user pools URL where Facebook will post the authorization code. So if you look at this diagram, in step number 7, once I log into Facebook using my Facebook credentials, Facebook will return an authorization code back to Amazon Cognito, and this is a browser redirect. And this is the redirect URL where Facebook will redirect the user back to the Cognito user pool with an authorization code. So you need to enter a valid redirect URI for the Cognito user pool. So let's go back to the Cognito user pool documentation. So just search in Google for Cognito user pool OIDC. And the very first link talks about adding a OIDC identity provider. So go here, and if you go to this very first link, it says this is the redirect URL format for a Cognito user pool. So just copy it, go back to the screen and paste it. And let's actually replace this domain name. It's actually not allowing me to replace. So let's do one thing. Let's paste this. And if you go here, it ends with /OAuth2/IDP response. So you manually enter that text o/OAuth2/IDP response. And now save the changes. The next step is to add the Facebook identity provider to this user pool so that Facebook users can log into your client application. So go to your user pool, go back to your user pool in AWS console, go to the sign in experience tab and add an identity provider and select Facebook. And here it asks for app ID and app secret. So this is something that is available in your Facebook client application details. So go back to your Facebook client app details, go to app settings, basic, and copy the app ID, paste it here, and copy the click show, copy the app secret, and paste it here. And for the scopes, you need to select, let me check. So Facebook OAuth 2 scopes. So if you search for this, you can check. So we need the public profile. So select this scope, public profile, and we need email as well. So we need email scope. So add public profile and email. And now let's do the attribute mapping. So let's map the basic attributes, basic set of attributes like email, first name, last name. So here when you select email and come here, it will automatically show the list of attributes that are available from Facebook. So select email, and for name, select name, and for given name, select first name, and for family name, select last name. So the attributes on the left side, that is the user pool attribute, is the attribute name of the user profile in Cognito user pool. And the attribute on the right side, Facebook attribute, is the attribute names for the user profile in the Facebook database. So what you are basically doing is you are mapping the attributes from a Facebook user profile to the Cognito user profile. Since the attribute names, like for example, in the Cognito user profile, a first name is called as given name, whereas in a Facebook user profile, a first name is called as first name. And similarly, family name is called as last name in Facebook user profile. So you need to map this so that when the user logs in, Cognito user pool will know which attribute from a Facebook user profile needs to be mapped to which attribute in the Cognito user pool. So that's what we are doing here. So add identity provider, and now the identity provider is added. Now let's go back to app integration screen, and let's go to the client that we created while creating the user pool, and let's enable Facebook login for this client. So if you look at this identity providers that are enabled for this client, currently only users from this Cognito user pool can access this client. So we are going to add one more identity provider, which is Facebook. So any users who have a Facebook profile can access this client. And similarly, any user who has a Cognito user pool profile can also access this client. So we need to do one more thing. So before saving the changes, what I'm going to do is I'm going back to Mozilla where we are going to do this entire end-to-end testing. In order to test this end-to-end flow, I'm going to use an application called OIDC Playground. So it is available in internet, so anyone can use this application, and this application supports any OpenID Connect provider, basically any identity product that supports OpenID Connect protocol. So before testing, we need to do some basic configuration. So I need to integrate this client app with my user pool. So I will, like, if you look at this drop down, you can see Auth0, Google, and custom. So I am going to select the custom option. And then we need to find the Cognito user pool's OpenID configuration endpoint, and then enter that endpoint here and click this button, and then it will automatically load all the URLs. So go to Google and search for Cognito Federate endpoints. And somehow it's slow. Let's try opening it in a new window. Yeah, somehow it was slow. I don't know what's the reason, but anyway, so select the federation endpoints and you will see the URL for the Cognito's OpenID configuration. So copy that, go here and paste it. And here we need to replace certain values like region and my user pool ID. So go back to the browser and we need to get the user pool's region and the user pool ID. So right click this user pool name and open a new tab because I want to retain this page. I didn't save the changes. So go here and you can find the user pool ID here, copy it and replace this your user pool ID with whatever you copied, and the region is in my case US East 1. So please check the region in your case in case you are using a different region like US West 1, West 2, or EU West 1, like whatever region you are using, you need to provide that region name here and click this button, and that will automatically load all the endpoints of this Cognito user pool. You can actually copy this and even check it here. Like you can check all the URLs here. These are the URLs which got populated in this screen. And now you need to replace the client ID and secret for this particular client application. So again, go back here. I'm going to retain this page as is because I need to save the changes. So again, go to app integration tab and select FB client and copy this client ID and replace it, and show client secret, copy client secret and replace this. And here We only need OpenID profile email, so remove the remaining two scopes and save. And the reason why I wanted to retain this page is because I wanted to update this callback URL, which is basically the redirect URL. And if you look at the redirect URI here, it is openidconnect.net/callback. So copy this, paste it here, save the changes. So now we have this end-to-end setup to do the testing. So I'm going to open this handy plugin SAML Tracer, which you can install, like you can search in Google and install it in your Firefox plugin, or you can use your web developer tools that is available in your browser, whichever you are comfortable with. So now click start. So when I clicked start, actually it initiated a login flow with Cognito user pool. So if you look at this SAML tracer, it redirected to Cognito user pool's authorize endpoint with the client ID parameter, the redirect URI, OpenID profile email scopes, and response type as code, which actually represents the authorization code grant flow. So if you look at this diagram here, what happened here is basically the step number 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, step number 1 and 2. Right now we are in the Amazon Cognito user pools login page. Now when I click continue with Facebook, the Cognito user pool redirected me to the Facebook login page. So you can see the flow here. It redirected me to Facebook login page with the Facebook apps client ID. If you remember, we created an app in the Facebook and it generated a client ID. So it redirected to Facebook with that client ID. So in this diagram, it is step number 3. And now when I log in using my Facebook credentials, so when I log in for the very first time, Facebook will ask for my permission. So it will ask if it is okay to share my name, profile picture, and email address with the client application, which is basically Cognito in this case. So this screen will appear only in the very first login. It won't appear in the subsequent logins to that same application using your Facebook credentials. So here I click continue, and now I got an authorization code back to this client application. So if you look at this diagram, what happened here was, because many things happen in the background, you didn't notice it. Actually, what happened here was between step number 4 to step number 13. So I entered my Facebook credentials in step number 4 and 5, and Facebook validated the credentials. It returned an authorization code back to Cognito in step number 8, and Cognito got an access token using that, and then called the Facebook token endpoint in step number 10 and got the user details. Many of these things happen in the background, so you didn't notice it. But if you look at this browser, the network flow, you can see every step here. So I Cognito user pool redirected to Facebook. After I logged in, Facebook redirected back to Cognito user pool with an authorization code. And using that authorization code, Cognito user pool got the user details and generated another authorization code and redirected back to our client application, which is the OpenID Connect.net, the playground app. Now I have the code here, and when I click exchange, I got an ID token, access token, and refresh token from Cognito. And when I click next and select view on jwt.io, now I can see all my user details here. So basically my Facebook's user profile's family name, which is the last name, full name, and then the first name, which is AWS, and then my email address that I use in Facebook, all these things are available here. So now let's quickly verify that with my Facebook profile. Since I already have an existing Facebook session, since I logged into this app, if I just type facebook.com, it will log into my profile. So here you can see my full name here, AWS. So I can see my full name here, which is AWS NKIAM. And that's what you see here, AWS NKIAM. And my NKIAM is the family name and AWS is my first name. And then my email address is also available. So I will show one more thing. So if you go to the settings, privacy and settings, and then if you scroll down on the left side and select the apps and websites. So here you can see the Cognito client app. The reason you're seeing it here is because when I accessed this app for the very first time, it asked for my permission. And once I gave the permission, it allowed me to access this Cognito client app. And this is the same app that we created in the Facebook developer account, Cognito client. You can see the exact same name. You can see the exact same name here. And if you want, you can revoke access to this client application. So again, when you try to log in next time, it will show that consent screen. So now you can see the user details here. Let's go back to the Cognito user pool and select the users tab. So here you can see a temporary profile created for this Facebook user. And if I select that user profile, you can see the exact details, same details like email address, family name, given name, full name, all these details. So this is how you basically integrate Amazon Cognito with Facebook login. It's pretty straightforward because Cognito takes care of many of these steps. In the background, you don't have to do much. Like you just need to create a Facebook app and then configure the Facebook identity provider in your Cognito user pool with all the details and the right configuration and the user profile mappings. Once that is done, this end-to-end flow will work easily. And I'm sure you will face some issues when you do this configuration since it involves multiple steps, but feel free to post your questions or comments in this video and I will respond to your questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. So please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.